Hello and welcome. My name is Vanessa Ortali. I am the founder of the Ladies Community and Heart and Mind Talks. And today I am bringing to you another interview for our online summit, The One. And the theme of this summit, in case you haven't checked out the last ones, are one with purpose, one with self, and one with others. And I am bringing to you today a multimedia host and producer who has worked for Netflix and amazing top 500 companies all over the world. And her name is Brigitte Truong. Welcome. Hi, Brigitte.
Thank you. Hi, thank you for having me, Vanessa. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Yeah, this is going to be so fun because you help so many people to make their dreams a reality and connect with people through TV. And so the industry seems so glamorous to so many people. And I'm sure people are like, oh, Brigitte, this is so awesome. Right?
It's so funny. You talk to a lot of people who are in film and television, and that comes up a lot, how glamorous it is. But
Right?
those who are just smack dab in the middle of it know how much work it is and how much grunt work is involved. So it is glamorous, but there's a lot more to it, like many other industries. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love having you as part of the series because, yes, you work in film and TV, but you're also very passionate about many topics that we're going to get into that
Mhm.
help women connect to themselves and others. So when you just hear the theme, one with self, one with others, one with purpose, what does that mean to you?
It all starts from us. So I love that one with self is the first thing you say, because if we don't understand who we truly are, which is a lifelong process, to be honest, we're ever evolving, we're ever changing, we're ever growing. But if we don't really acknowledge who we are, and that includes our weaknesses and our strengths, what ticks us off, what brings us joy, all of those elements that are involved in making us us, then we can't tap into helping other people and we can't build a community. So it really does start from who we are.
How has you tapping into yourself helped you with your business and your community that you've been able to build?
Oh, I love that question. You know what? I started tapping into myself, I guess, at 26, when a lot of shifts happened in my life, and that included leaving a long-term relationship. This idea that I had for a very, very long time of what my life was, and this full-time career to kind of venture out on my own, personally and professionally. So it kind of started there in terms of tapping into who I am, but I come from parents who have a pretty firm grasp on who they are. And we followed Buddhist philosophies growing up, which talks about being centered and being mindful all the live long day. And so, with those teachings growing up at home, I think maybe I did start there in terms of acknowledging who I am, but it didn't come full circle or fully realized until those big shifts happened in my adult life.
Yeah, do you think that it was a challenge to tap into who you are because you come from immigrant parents and coming
Mm.
into the world where we're being told who and what we should be?
Oh,
What was
yeah.
that like for you? How did you process all of that conditioning of what you should be?
It's so funny. I love that you use the word conditioning. I mean, we're all conditioned in our homes, right? Especially when we're starting out as blank slates as children. But my parents instilled a lot of values that I certainly don't take for granted today. And it was just interesting to be brought up by immigrant parents from Vietnam who, escaped the war, for a better world for their children. And having those values and then walking out of my doorstep every single day to go to school with, there was some diversity, but in a predominantly white neighborhood was confusing for me. So those values in my household were, work hard, um, believe in yourself, be kind, try to immerse yourself into everything and anything that you're a part of. That was just challenging growing up because people weren't kind to me. I was picked on a lot in school, and I realized how different I looked from everyone else. I wasn't bringing the same lunches as other students were to school. Those little things children really pick up, and you just feel different, and different when you're growing up isn't a good thing. And it's so funny, as you get older, you realize how unique you are and how unique the next person is. And I think understanding those challenges now as an adult, I really do aim to foster a new generation of girls and eventually women who tap into their differences, embrace every fiber of their existence, and be okay with just how different they are from the next person.
Yeah, what do you think is the best way for people to work through that when they are feeling different? How can they not internalize that and take it personal?
It's perspective. Perspective's a big thing for me. I think the best way to kind of conquer that challenge of feeling different and erasing the negative connotation that comes with the word different, um, is really acknowledging why it is okay to be different. So, for example, skin color. Is that a reach if I start with skin color?
Of course, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so, just remember growing up being so insecure about the color of my skin, unfortunately, just because, like I said, students around me didn't have the same color. So, for me, it was, like, confusing, it made me feel, kinda gross. Like, I remember just denying my culture and my heritage and just my upbringing because I wanted to fit in so badly. And I remember my mom actually, she's like, you need to write down why what it is that you know about your skin color. I'm like, oh, all right, this is more homework than I want. But writing down, okay, what does my skin color look like? So I would write down those little details like, well, is it olive? Is it yellow? I don't know. And then I remember just focusing on the skin color so much and thinking, it could be all of these things. I could be described as all of these things. And if there's so many different options just to describe the color of my skin, that must make me pretty special. I remember thinking that instead of focusing on, oh, my color is different. I remember thinking there's so many different ways to describe just the layer that's on top of me that must make me special. I think that's a powerful thing to think.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
I
that was my
love
shift.
these, yeah, I love these stories because I think that we need to talk about these so that we can
Mhm.
understand what is it like to be you? What was it like when you were growing up? What challenges did you face? And that I just love that story because I've actually never heard someone describe it in that way of like describing what does my skin look like and what does my skin feel like, and I just think that brings a lot of perspective to everybody to really
'Cause we
embrace our uniqueness,
Yeah,
right?
because we focus so heavily on the things we don't like about ourselves,
Mm,
but we don't really break down why. If it's, let's
yeah.
just say, I got this gnarly looking pimple on my eyebrow right now. You probably can't see it, but
No,
I
I
can feel it.
can't.
But like, let's just say that, for example. We'll just focus on it and think, why is it there? Oh, it's so ugly. Why is it there? Why is it there? Why is it there? But if we kind of break it down, well, let's do some research here. It's there because maybe my diet is flawed right now. I'm not getting enough exercise, poor circulation. I'm just making this up.
Mhm.
But then that starts with me. Well, I need to make a change then. So when you start breaking down things that you don't like in your world or you don't appreciate in your existence, I think you come to understand who you are a lot
Yeah.
fully.
Yeah. Did you feel like skin color and race was a big thing for you growing up?
It was huge. It was,
Yeah.
like, at the forefront of everything, and I think partially because my parents always talked about it.
Mm,
Maybe they knew. I think maybe there was a level of, insecurity on their end too, being, immigrants in Canada, not speaking a word of English when they arrived and having that culture shock, and just wanting to fit in without being judged. And so that element or that fear of being judged was always brought up at home. So innately, I just thought, I'm going to be judged when I walk out that door.
right. That's
So
what's gonna happen. Yeah.
that's what's going to happen. So I was judged, I was bullied. So that was expected. And then when those comments came about, I just remember thinking, oh, like why am I me, like why is this happening to me, but I knew it would, all that
Right,
stuff.
my
So
parents were right, and then you
like
look for things to make them right.
exactly, you look for things to kind of feed into your own insecurity, and I think
Mhm.
that we do that at every age, but it's
Yeah,
a matter of just, like I said, kind of breaking down why it is you feel a certain way, why you think you don't like certain things about yourself, because then maybe change can come about in the right ways.
yeah. So, what message do you wanna give immigrant children and young women or women in general?
That let's start with the girls of color or girls with immigrant parents, is that the color of your skin has nothing to do with who you're going to become. And if it does in the most positive of ways, then fantastic. But one of the big things that I really like to talk about too is that it's so important for all of us to really own our stories, good and bad. All of these little experiences that you think are so small that they don't matter, they all add up to just who you are today and who you will be tomorrow. And so, really owning all those experiences, all those failures, all the stories that your parents have told you, they're all connected. It's a web of experiences that really fosters the growth of who you are. And if you appreciate growth, I think it's really important.
Yeah, it's I just love hearing you talk because it brings so much perspective. So then what message do you have for people who aren't of color so that we can better
Mhm.
understand and live together in a world of love and acceptance?
I think it's so important that it's important to remember that all of us, we're made up of the same things. We have the same organs, we have the same limbs. And many of us do go through the same experiences in different age groups. Whether it's puberty, whether it's the first time we're having sex, all those little things as women, we have so much in common. And so when you look at each other, sure, sometimes it's hard not to compare yourself with the next person who's doing well in the same field. We've all been there. But if you look at each other and find those similarities, you'll come to realize that the common ground it's strong. So if
Yeah.
we can look at each other and say we're made up of the same things, I think that's a really good message.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the part of the summit of one with others is we are
True.
one and we're so much more similar than we are different. And I think if we come to the table from a place of understanding and curiosity, like, tell me about you. I want to know. I want to understand. And maybe we won't always understand, and that's okay too. But just being open to hearing from a place of non-judgment and just a place of love and
Yeah.
knowing that that person is also just doing the best that they can, you know?
And I think we've been doing a really, really good job
Yeah.
at that since, the past 3 years, since the whole Me Too movement, time's up. I think women have really come together to better
Yeah.
understand one another and to
Hmm.
find those similarities, to see how we can work together to make
Yeah.
some great things happen. And I'm hoping that what's happening with COVID only strengthens that.
Yeah.
I'm really, really hoping, and I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it on social media right
Hmm.
now, which is great.
Yeah, especially with even being within the ladies community, it was interesting to see because the ladies community came out before me too. And
Yeah.
so how I think we can still be better is is the acceptance of other people's stories and knowing that there isn't a right or wrong. I still feel like women, and I think a lot of this is even genetic, right? Like we were raised, and back in the day, there was this innate competition that if we didn't have a man and we weren't taken care of, we would actually die. And so you still feel some of that. And I even saw it within the ladies community as the Me Too was coming out. And that's also why I had shifted within the ladies community of how can we provide actual tools to show up every day to support. It's
Mhm.
not just a march. It's not just saying me too. It's in every moment. How can we not judge, right? How can we truly accept, truly be happy for one another? Not compare ourselves, not be competitive. And my dream was always to create a community that we could have that and just love and support each other, minus all that other stuff. But back to what you were saying before is we have to be willing to look at it. We have to be
Mm.
willing to look at our conditioning so that we don't let it take over, so that we can have that oneness with women within our community.
Absolutely. And I love the community that you've built and the purpose that you have behind it, because if we can't talk freely to other people about our pain points and about the experiences that we're proud of, where else can we do it? Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Most of us don't feel confident enough to approach other people and say, "Hey, I can help you out," or "Hey, like I've been there too." I don't know why that is to this day. I think we are making a very positive shift in the right direction.
Hmm.
But the
Yeah.
more communities we have like yours, just the more confidence we'll have in ourselves and with other people. So this is
Yeah.
for everyone.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the pain points that you still feel coming up in your life today that may or may not be from
Hmm.
your conditioning in childhood?
That's an interesting question. There are so many. There are so
No,
many.
right?
Yes.
Same for me. Like half the time I'm sitting there and I'll feel something. I go, "You're still there? I thought I dealt with you a while ago."
She was sticking around. She
Right?
was sticking
Yeah.
around. You know what? I think it's very, very normal for us, and it's not just women. I think it's human nature to constantly
Yeah.
question yourself. I still have moments of who am I? And I
Mm,
think that's completely normal. And that comes when you've either reached a goal or you feel like you've hit a max. And, I've been super fortunate, and I'm very proud of myself for accomplishing a lot of goals that I've set years back. But as we continue to evolve, obviously, you continue to build more goals. And when you hit, I think it's important to tell people and for all of us to remember too, is that when you reach a certain goal, you're not done. You're not done learning. And so there are moments where I'm always like, who am I? Do I know what I'm doing? Am I on the right track? Who knows?
who
But
knows?
who knows? Nobody knows. It's a day-to-day game, right? But as long as you acknowledge your stories, you'll acknowledge all of your worth. You really will, and that's so important. So, those moments of who am I and what am I doing? Am I on the right track? Those come up pretty often.
Yeah. Who do you think you are right now? Like, what is your mission and vision for your life as it stands?
Vanessa, you were asking all the tough questions, and I'm getting right into it.
We're just going right deep.
We're going right in there.
Yeah.
Who do I think I am right now?
Yeah.
I, if to be completely frank, and I've realized this since being socially distant from people for 5 days now, is that I'm a very self-sufficient individual. I'm 32, and there are many days where I feel like I'm still a kid, which is great because when you feel like a child, your imagination is still going strong, which is very important in the creative community. But I think right now I'm I'm really proud that I've become this person that's self-assured, um, and very capable of figuring things out on her own.
Hmm.
And that could be
Cool.
because I'm very, very single right now, which is like new for me. So when you
Mm,
get out of a relationship, you got to learn to navigate the world on your own again, and that can be a scary thing. But for me, it was a really empowering thing, and that in the past, 6, 7 months, it's taught me so much more about who I am and about life and where I want my life to go.
yeah.
So I'd say right now, the type of person I am is pretty headstrong, which is good. I want to hang on
Cool.
to.
Were you always a relationship girl? Like, were you in many relationships growing up?
Yes, I think combined, I've spent a third of my life in relationships. So
Wow.
my longest one was 7 years,
Yeah.
and then my last one was 3, and then I've had, like, you know, 3, 4 months here and there.
Mhm. And
Yeah,
did you feel like you related more to yourself in a relationship or single?
single.
Interesting.
Didn't skip a beat there, eh?
Huh,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I
Interesting.
think
Yeah.
I mean, because I spent most of my 20s in a relationship, the decade of 20s is for learning. One time I heard this
Mm,
great quote, "Your 20s are for learning and your 30s are for earning." And
mm,
because I was in a relationship for most of my 20s, I didn't have my own identity, and I
mm.
didn't realize that until I got out there by myself. So,
Neat.
yeah, for anyone listening who's coming up and worried about finding a mate, you got this.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got this on your own.
Totally. Honestly, I've always loved my single days the most.
Yeah?
I found that those were my most reflective. I felt the most confident. For me, I always felt more comfortable single. And so
Mhm.
I've had to navigate, how do I be in a relationship while still feeling like me? Right?
Right.
And how do we both keep our independence while still being in a relationship? And so navigating those dynamics and that balance has been
Mhm.
harder for me than navigating my single life. Because, like, single, I'm like, I can do this. I can, I enjoy being on my own. And so being with somebody else was actually more difficult for me.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's challenges on both ends for sure, but I will tell you that the one of the biggest lessons for me, heartbreak.
Hmm.
Nothing hurts more than heartbreak, eh? I'd rather break my arm. I would. But I will say the life lessons that come from it are invaluable. The things you
Yeah.
learn about yourself, what you don't want, and in life, it's not just in a partner, but in life. So,
Hmm.
don't regret any of those for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What skills do you think have made you successful in life and in your career, especially because you're in a creative industry? How
Mhm.
do you think you've been able to excel?
2 things, people skills and time management. I think people skills are really important in the creative space because referrals is a really big part of it. Um, and I hate the word networking, but networking essentially it's relationship building, right? And especially when you work on your own, people are hiring you, and you're not
Yeah.
offering skills that are different from 20 other people down the block. So why are they going to choose you? Well, they have to trust you and they have to like you. And so relationship building is something that I've actively worked at as a kid. I grew up as an only child, and I always knew that connecting with other people was a lot of fun and something I was really good at. And so just maintaining those relationships, fostering new ones, and it's all about finding common ground. That's where it comes from. That's a skill that I think is really, really important, and I attribute my success to it often. Time management for sure as well. And as when you're a self-starter, there's always things coming at you, right, left, and center that's unplanned, good and bad. So when you're trying to juggle so much at once, you don't want to let the ball fall in any way. So you really got to map things out accordingly. That's best suited for you. You got to stay organized, and you can't take on too much and more than you can handle.
Yeah. Have you had to adapt as you have been your own business?
Mhm.
How have you evolved through that process so that you could manage your time and become more productive?
Um, I have been practicing the power of no the past year, and that's been a really key element to my evolution. And it's a key element I think for everyone who really wants to keep that engine running. And it's not just saying no to professional things, it's to personal things too, because it all comes together. It's under one umbrella, right? And for your
Yeah.
own sanity. So the power of no is powerful.
Yeah.
Um, and um, and that just goes back to not spreading yourself too thin.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. There's only one of you, so
There's
you can
only
only
one
do
of
so
you.
much. Yeah.
You can only do so much. You can only do so much well. You know,
Yes.
when you
Yeah.
kind of displace your focus, you're not doing anything well. So,
Hmm.
for kind of the sake of your own longevity, I think no is so crucial when it needs to come up.
How did you figure out what you did do well? So if there's people listening who are having a hard time navigating what their purpose is and what their next move is, do you have any recommendations for them?
I'm loving all these questions, by the way. And for anyone listening,
Thanks.
they were not rehearsed. You didn't brief me on these questions.
No.
Vanessa, yes. Okay, so personally, I knew I was in it to win it in media, and I've had a focus on entertainment and lifestyle since I was 19. So it's been quite some time, but I knew that this was it for me for the time being, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
We all know. When I just remember this was like the third day in a row. So I spent the last 2 days on set, and it was 12 hours each. And then I'm in bed the third night, and it was late. I think it was like 10 or 11. And I'm thinking, why am I still having so much fun? I
Hmm.
was still having so much fun, but I was so tired. I was exhausted, Vanessa. Like, I remember I didn't have dinner that night, and I was thinking, this is this is why I'm doing this. And at the
Yeah.
time, I was getting paid peanuts because I was just starting out, wasn't making a lot of money, exhausted, not eating regularly, but I was looking forward to the next day, and I didn't care how many hours would be involved at that point. And so, if I can give any advice to people who may be feeling stuck or questioning their career path, if you're not having fun, get out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. Do what you
You know?
enjoy and then the money will come.
The money will always
Yeah.
come. And if it's going to take up so much of your time on the daily and so much of your brain power, you want to be having fun while doing it.
Yeah. So important. How have you been able to build your community? You talked a little bit about networking and the importance of doing that. I know even online, you have a huge community. How do you
Mm.
continue to connect with others virtually and in person?
Common ground. It's finding that common thread. And it's fun for me, actually. I love engaging with people and starting conversations, which isn't for everyone. I mean, I've started conversations with people who clearly don't want to have it.
Yeah. You know
That's
pretty
when I
quickly when they're open or not. Yeah.
totally, and that's when I gently kind of
Yeah.
sashay my way out of there.
Yeah.
But I love listening to people and finding something that I can relate to, so that we can instantly find that common ground. And that's where the spark is, and that's where the conversation continues to run. Social media is such a great avenue to do that, to build a community, obviously, because you're scrolling through it all the time. You see what you like, what you don't like. And when you see something you like, why not engage with it and send out a compliment? And that's where it starts,
Mm,
right? Everyone feels good when they're given a little compliment. And it shouldn't come from any strategic place whatsoever. It should come from a good place, because you'd want to receive that kind of acknowledgement too. And conversations always start from there.
yeah.
It never starts from, I don't know, some kind of critical response or what have you, but it usually starts from something positive. So that's kind of where I like to start any type of community building, is finding that common thread.
Cool. So next time you're on social media, just like someone, send someone a compliment, send them some love, start it
Yes,
from there. Yeah.
start it
Yeah.
from there, and you'd be surprised where the conversation can go. It might not
So
happen
fun.
today, but it could happen, next week. And that's where a lot of my successful client relationships have come from too.
Mm,
That I want to note is that I might like, one of my clients is Inspired Image. They're a fantastic production house, right here in Canada. But I remember meeting somebody from their team through a junket years ago, and it wasn't until 3 years after we met did an opportunity come up.
hmm,
And I've been working with them on different shoots for the past 3 years. So you
cool.
never know where those relationships can go. But if you can find some kind of commonality, that's where a friendship can start. That's where a working relationship can start. And it comes from a very good place. So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
awesome. So if people want to start conversations with you online now and
Yeah.
or send you compliments, where could, yeah, right? Where could
That
they
was
find you?
that was my way of
Good.
saying I need more validation. No, no, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally kidding.
Everybody loves compliments. Yes.
Yes, but no,
Yeah.
I encourage people to reach out with questions or comments about anything that we've chatted about today, or even about entertainment in general, because I love talking about it. But feel free to find me on social media at Brigitte Truong, which is my full name.
And I'll spell it out for you in case you're listening. So her last name is spelled Truong, right? So
Yes,
Brigitte Truong. Cool.
yes.
So
And my
reach out
first
to
name is
Brigitte. Yeah.
spelled a little weird too.
Oh, yes, that's true. We should spell the whole thing. Okay, go for it.
Brigitte, like Brigitte Bardot, Brigitte.
There you go. So Brigitte
Yeah.
Truong, go check her out, send her a note, chat media, send her a compliment, a little wink, and I'm sure she'll love it. She might even send you one back.
I would love
But
that.
yeah, Brigitte, thanks so much for sharing your story and everything that you feel and just being so open about what it was like to be you and what it is to be you right now. And I'm excited to see how that continues to evolve and where you go from here. So thank you for being a part of this summit. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Vanessa. And right back at you. Truly, I admire you so much for building this community. I wish more people knew about it. And I'm so excited to spread the word too, so we can
Thank
kind of make
you.
this as big as it can be.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And if you're
Yeah.
listening, go out there, share your story, and focus on creating that common ground so that you can build connection, knowing that we're all one, and creating that spark with somebody else, I believe, is kind of what lights up the world. So go
Mm.
out there, light up the world, be that light, sending you so much love. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.